So it's not very long now, and we'll have a formation of 4 private jets flying over the beach to kick off the flying demonstration at as soon as possible.
Left engine, go. Private jet, check it in. 1, 2.
Oi, oi.
Go. Private jet.
Welcome, Caden. Don't spam me.
Private jet, eating her. Wheel sir, go.
So there are the commands from the leader of the 4 ship.
Come in. Left.
Ready.
Now. Hold in a bank to left. Now.
In 1, 2,
And Pritch
3,
calling the commands in.
4,
Calling the commands in.
5, 6,
Now.
7, 8, 9.
Come in. Right.
Seriously, please don't.
Leveling out. Now.
Emoji rolling on the floor laughing. Emoji rolling on the floor laughing.
Alright, so we're just watching at the beach at the moment, Josh.
And now,
10.
from the left-hand side, the 4 private jets in the 4 ship fly past, all flying at the Nimbus.
Leveling out.
Na JK.
Private jet, diagonal line. Go.
Go off Bill's right.
Yeah, go. Bill's right.
I'll go
Left.
behind. Josh can wait at the airport if you want.
I'll come to the beach. Keep it. Right. Actually, I'll watch
Bill translated
Yuck, it's Pritch.
this guy do prediction break.
And then you can see the jets off there in the distance. And you'll be able to see one of these examples flying later on in the show, when Pritch himself, Flight Lieutenant Ewan Pritchard, will take one of them to the skies and fly it in his fantastically interesting demonstration, and something that you don't. And I think it's quite nice that we hit the aspect of the comms from the team whilst the actual demonstration's going on, and in a right echelon formation.
Leveling out. Now. Diamond, go.
Right, I'm going to hop on the party bus, so I'm going to move this out the way.
Go, Dylan.
Yeah.
Keep going. Don't follow me. Keep going. Right over the clouds, right?
Alright.
Rich,
do you want me and Bill to go 45s?
Yeah.
Rich. Bill, stay on your side 45, I'll go left 45.
Why is there a DJ bus at Airshow?
The DJ bus we just use as a platform for commentary.
Leveling out. Now.
And there's Pritch bringing all 4 of the jets towards us, and
Shut
what
up,
I believe
Pritch.
will be the
Private jet. Break. Go.
ladies and
gonna spend
gentlemen,
some
this
tunes.
is the 4 times private jet demonstration, the 4 ship that we won't see very often at shows, so always a welcome surprise.
Wow.
Private jet returned. Confirmation, ready for break to land at the beach. Then land there for them.
I totally didn't expect that. Emoji smiling face with open mouth and tightly closed eyes.
Bill Diamond line,
Okay, am I right? So, Bill, then, yeah, and then Bill and then you.
Great description, bot.
turn right. Oh.
So that concludes the
Emoji
first.
smiling face with open mouth and tightly closed eyes.
That concludes
Love
the
IT.
first demonstration of the show with a quick 4-ship, and then we'll be quickly progressing now onto the next display item, which according to the flying program should be the Black Eagles display team from JSOC, and after that the solo pyro display team.
Skipping some comments.
Me and JSOC have been sort of
Yeah, that's what.
F.
Oh,
F.
so wait, what's that?
F.
So, right, left, the big left hand side, right. So, I'll run Bill to Map 3, Bill and Cross. Private jet, braking now. 1, 2.
And the jet's performing a run-in brake from the left-hand side of the showground to the right-hand side of the showground.
Shout out to KXDN official.
Indeed, and hopefully after this we'll be seeing another interesting demonstration for an aircraft not seen in the real world as air shows and on the GTA circuit as well. And that would be the Pyro, which is very reminiscent of the de Havilland Vampire. So be fantastic to see something like that flying at a show.
So, Matt, Pyro's cancelled, so basically he changed to back to Bumblebees.
Shall I
that's
come
right
on
then.
and just do a fly past?
I have an issue.
I wouldn't advise it.
I didn't know that the private jets gave out a smoke colour. I don't know the customizing this, but I've apparently got black.
Good luck, guys. Next display item is the Dagbirds.
Good luck, big brain.
Then kamikaze. Pritch.
Right, I'm just landing at the airport as I was on the beach. Give me a second.
Is your air still
Josh,
air
we'll
show
be
still
out
going on
runway.
at Halloween? Big brain power. Is your air show still going on at Halloween?
It should do, but it will be cancelled if something is happening.
Yeah.
Right, warm up on my...
Yeah, I'm going to do that, give me a sec.
Yeah.
Well done, guys, get the chocolate. Display routine has been changed a little because one of our
rain.
And it starts raining.
yeah, we keep up the
D.
you guys can wait for rain if you want, guys,
SD.
until the stop.
S. D. D.
I'll have a look.
Skipping some comments. As.
Pritch, do you want me
D.
to stay or do you want me to
Skipping
go?
some comments.
No, you
Dad.
guys stay.
D. SD. As. As. As.
The rain.
SDF. Skipping some comments. D. SDF. Skipping some comments. DF. DF. Skipping some comments. FD. FSD. Skipping some comments. FD. DFS. FSD. SDF. DFS. SDF. Okay and done now.
What time? Right. Oh, 20 seconds.
Josh, you want me to make a party so we can hear each other better? And then we'll leave.
Yeah, you can guys go party if you want.
Alright, I'll...
Oh, Pritch incoming for US.
It will be 18 past 6, apparently, is when it runs. Also, we don't want the red back so I can send
You're
you.
great. Stand on the rocks. Yeah.
So what displays after this first one then?
So after this rain it'd be Darkbirds. And then I'll try right 9 yards.
Josh, can you make a party? My party's not working.
Yeah, it'd be after the Darkbirds be Sequoia.
Ooh, I can do a lot of talking about that one in particular.
Oh yes. So Darkbirds, we've be having a major cover too by Max with the Sukhoi. As Max is loves the Sukhoi aircraft. But I was about to say, the Sukhoi is
Oh, it's literally RIAT on a Friday, but it's a Friday. Emoji smiling face with open mouth and tightly closed eyes.
So it's fantastic to see the Sukhoi back on the flying schedule, and obviously on my part because of I have a massive love for Soviet aviation, and also because it's just one of those different displays. And well, afterwards we'll have a couple of demonstrations. We'll have the LSROs representing the Saudi Hawks, the Saudi National Aerobatic Display Team, and then we'll have another National Aerobatic Display Team in the form of the Patrouille de los Santos, the Patrouille de France.
You support the Israel Air Force.
The reason I paused then is because I got these messages coming in on my PlayStation. There's so many people sending messages in.
I think it's not like James, the pool. What geezer? Right. I've got to go because I've got to go train with this thing those. I'm not sure already. So,
Not the Soviet aviation.
So I have someone in my comments. Yes, Caden, it is Soviet aviation. That reigns supreme. The Sukhoi Su-27 is probably something that's caused you a bit of pain in the past with your DCS matches. But it should be a lot of fun. So until the rain ceases very soon, it's going to be a bit quiet on my end because, well, not much to talk about when there's no flying going on.
So you know, guys, the C-17 just been landed after the aircraft, and then he just landed, and then
Soviet aviation, and you love the air and the lair.
very low, roughly 1,000 feet.
Jeez, the rain's still going.
Talk about my DCS career.
So after the Starkberg will be the Sukhoi. After the Sukhoi, we have a special flight past the Sukhoi and Hawk T2. And then after that, it will be 9 yards. After the 9 yards, it's Soul Laser. After that, it's Red Robins.
Oh, I joined the display team for DCS now.
Ooh, so have you joined then, Caden? What team have you joined for DCS?
Vectors.
Aerovectors, what aircraft you fly?
These guys, I think 9 yards.
Hopefully the rain ceases at some point soon. It's starting to go on a bit longer than it should have done.
C101.
Alright, that's C101. On top of the
the 9 Sukhoi will be later.
Avrojet.
Wait, Caden, does the team have an Instagram page?
Shut up, Rich, you not 18U4.
This is some rivalry in
Yeah,
my
I think
comments
so.
and host for the show, but yeah, don't worry about it. But yeah, as Pritch says, the Sukhoi Su-27 after the next display item. So we're going to have one display item first, and then the Sukhoi Su-27, and then shortly after that we'll have the laser representative of the F-16C Viper. So I've got a few good displays up next.
Tell him I said that.
So I'm very excited to
Water. Someone took my display. Oh, that's it. I'm going to kill all of you now. For letting this happen.
So, well, by the sounds of things, the weather situation isn't getting any better, but well, it seems to have lightened up a little bit, but we can only hope. And landing in front of us there is the, well, you see the green jets of the LS Arrows, and then we've got the pink aircraft.
Yeah, typical RIAT on a Friday.
That's not a lie.
Blackbird, clear for takeoff, hold pattern till the main stop, thank you.
And then we have the pink one to celebrate Breast Cancer Month. So something that the team has done since the formation of it 3 years ago. So it remains committed to celebrating this month quite a lot. So as
OMG.
Pritch just said, we have the next display item. Getting
Shut
airborne.
up, Rich.
Yes, takeoff rock. Alright, check one.
Josh, go part chat.
What? Oh, okay.
It's my air show, not yours.
And the weather really does seem to have died down quite a lot now.
I think there's blackbirds.
Shout out to my Insta 180 Cream McSpicy Cookies.
So you can see the duo off there in the distance, using the B-11 Strike Force as their display aircraft, which is reminiscent of that of the A-10C Thunderbolt II, the Warthog as it is affectionately known as. And the smoke coming on from both of the aircraft, heading towards
Not just
the
kidding.
crowds now. All pulling up into the vertical, forming a loop. So one aircraft trailing the black smoke and the other one the green smoke. The colour black in terms of the smoke is rarely used in the real world as the display smoke. In fact, the only team that's actually used it in its history of display flying is the Al Fursan national display team of the United
Nice
Arab
formation,
Emirates.
not just kidding. Your shit emoji smiling face with open mouth and tightly closed eyes. Just kidding.
little bit more about the individual airframes. The A-10C Thunderbolt II is the US answer to the CAS-ROL, the Close Air Support of Troops on the Ground. A fantastic platform it has been for the past 40 years. Going through both A, B and C now.
Where's the beret?
And performing the vice versa manoeuvre there, crossing over at the centre and switching the rolls around from inverted to level flight. The A-10 has seen plenty of combat service and has been very successful, having served in places such as East and West Germany, although not firing a single round then, but proved itself in the Gulf War and the Afghanistan and Iraq and Iran civil wars. And you can see from the right hand side and presumably the left hand side also, the two aircraft crossing over at the centre. And of course we all love the A-10 for the one main feature on the aircraft, the very feature that the aircraft was built around, the GAU-8 30mm rotary gun on the front of the aircraft, firing anywhere between 3,100 and 4,900 rounds per minute, which is an extremely fast fire rate by any standards really. And not only does it deliver such fast firepower, it delivers extremely superior firepower as well.
Let's hear it.
And the superior firepower comes in the form of 30mm shells. Well, to put that into a bit more perspective, each single bullet is roughly the same height as a can of Coca-Cola, so a very impressive round fired and being chambered in the 30mm gun. Among the gun, it has quite a lot of other impressive armament variety. It also has unguided missiles, guided missiles, unguided rockets, laser guided precision munitions, and multiple different ports for various reasons. It also has spaces for fuel tanks, although the fuel capacity on board the A-10C's airframe is quite significant in itself and can travel quite a long distance without any need for external fuel tank support. I mean, it is air-to-air refueling compatible as well. It also has 4 main flare points, with 2 being on the tail and 2 on the leading edges of the wings, which is why when you see an A-10 fire flares and they pop out from the end of the wings, that's the sole reason why. The real A-10 was designed to have a twin boom tail, placing the engines in between that, and the whole reason for that was to reduce the heat signature produced when the engines were performing at full thrust in the middle of a combat zone, to avoid being shot down by heat-seeking missiles, or to avoid as much detection from heat-seeking missiles. And the 2 aircraft are now performing what I believe will probably be a opposition cross, and with the backdrop of the sunset there is a very picturesque image.
Sync a break to me. Very nice indeed.
Flying.
Our third commentator of the air show is Owen Laser. Good evening, hello.
Hello, Owen.
Just have to go and get my yeah, Master, you know, I'm going we are talking to today because 9 yards count, please take it.
That's alright.
That is RIAT Valley. Yes.
Goodbye, Owen. MOG smiling face with open mouth and tightly closed eyes.
What's the end about goodbye, Owen? What's he chatting? I met that some block me because I made him cry.
And a crowd rear entry at extremely low altitude.
Pritchard.
showing off the optimum flight level that the A-10 would fly at in any combat environment.
If you see this, reply through your mic. What?
And we can see the, I believe, 2 aircraft of the team with their gear fully extended, and they're over LSIA now, so that probably does spell the end of the demonstration from the duo there, showing off quite good formation flying there from the 2 pilots.
Good job. Am I next?
Sukhoi. So the dark bird has finished, so next flight will be the flight path with duo of T2 at Sukhoi, and then the split off Sukhoi after Sukhoi with Hawk T2 display. Thank you.
And
Yeah, we lost a member, so it wasn't that good. I'm gonna
Please with effort.
I have to admit though, guys, when I did during the match very late, but what I could see doing the jobs on the beach, it does look very professional, so big well done to yourself and the rest of the team.
Dark bird can stay actually watch all there if you want.
yeah, sure. Oh my.
Come back to the beach and stand in the rocks.
So you can fly to the beach.
Come the duos.
so here we have the Hawk T2 and the Sukhoi Su-27 P1M, known to NATO as the flanker, as part of the Ukrainian Air Force's inventory.
Make sure your aircraft are not in front of the rocks or mainly behind the party buses so that they're on the view. Sorry man, carry on.
The Su-27 was first spotted by the US Navy over the Atlantic Ocean in 1986, I believe, when a P-3 Orion photographed a close encounter of a Su-27 that was trying to escort it, which was very helpful to the NATO forces to eventually identify it as the Su-27. As part of the Ukrainian Air Force, the Russian Federation, as the USSR as it was known back then, sold the airframes to the Ukrainian Air Force, where it has seen extensive service in combat and has seen extensive, no worries, has seen extensive modernisation and is now currently in its latest form in P1M. The P1M is the modernised version of the latest modifications rather of the Su-27 and is done at the Zaporozhye air repair plant at the Zaporozhye airport. The aircraft comes from the 831st Guards Tactical Aviation Brigade of the Ukrainian Air Force based at Mirhorod Air Base and is often seen in the Blue 38 scheme. And rather appropriately, we approach the anniversary, 2-year anniversary of Blue 70, a twin-seat Su-27, which was carrying a pilot and its co-pilot, the rear seater being a USAF airman, and both of them were tragically killed in the accident in 2018, on the 16th of October.
That's why the Hawk T2 are now then supported. That's the total.
So we see the Hawk T2 now a part of the demonstration, performing a duo display. The Hawk T2s are, well, predominantly based, as one of our residents at the air show will know, at RF Valley, and they're used to train the next generation of fighter pilots, be it Royal Navy or Air Force, and they go on to see extensive training service, and you'll often see them around the Mac Loop and around the coast of Wales, performing dogfight chases to practice the combat skills and BFM, or basic fighter manoeuvres.
As you know, the Hawk T2 is the best jets by the trainer. Hawk T2 and Sukhoi.
And to see the two aircraft together, it's quite a contrast in airframes. Seeing the light British trainer built by BAE Systems and the rather large Sukhoi Su-27 of the Sukhoi Design Bureau. It's a very interesting and stark contrast between the size of modern combat fighter aircraft and modern training aircraft. Although the Hawk T2 is based predominantly on the T1 with quite a few modifications to bring it up to more modern standards. There's not many different features apart from a few external features of the aircraft that actually make it stand out from its original counterpart in the T1, which is still used by the RAF Red Arrows. It's also based at Culdrose and Leaving, and it's also used by the Saudi Hawks, which is one of the next display items in the show later on. And the Su-27, as mentioned before, based at Mirhorod Air Base and modernised at Zaporozhye. And the first flight of a Sukhoi Su-27 first took place in 1976, and from there it went on to serve quite a successful life in service, and is now seeing its retirement through until the Su-30 and Su-35 take over the roles of the air-to-air roles.
Yeah, we've got the finish.
So
Just had the two of the Hawk. Well, the pilots work together. Demonstrate.
Oh, yeah,
So you know, Matt, US Air Force pilot flight has cancelled. Why? Brother. So told me this. So it's be Matt. So eventually we're going to have to cancel the performance due to enforcing commissions. Apologise for the inconvenience.
Actually, no.
The next flight item is the laser. So let's bring the noise from Owen.
wait, does Owen fly it as
Laser.
as a Typhoon or a F-16?
Typhoon, I think.
That's alright then.
Where's the Ashton then?
So our next display item, as you've probably just heard us discuss, will be the laser flown by Owen, which is reminiscent of the Eurofighter Typhoon. The last public display was flown by Flight Lieutenant Jim Peterson before obviously 2020 kicked off, and well, we all know how that one went. The display pilots actually chosen from 29 Reserve Squadron as OCU instructors on the type. Recently it has actually been revealed that Lossiemouth was selected in 2012, I believe, or 2011, to fly the demo team, but they obviously, with display and operational commitments, it's quite difficult to balance the two. So the baton was handed over completely to 29 Reserve Squadron.
Great.
The real airframe is powered by two EJ200 engines. The Eurojet engine, which is a conglomerate built engine, so it's multinational, and as is the project of the aircraft itself, built by Germany, Spain, Italy and the UK, with different companies building different parts of the aircraft. The most predominant builders in the project being Leonardo from Italy and BAE Systems from the UK. And just did the faint sound of an afterburner, so that probably signifies that the display item will commence very shortly.
Waiting for confirmation when Owen take it off. Max will cover with commentate with Mason maneuvers and he is commentator for Max.
Thank you very much, Pritch. Whilst we just wait for the display to start, we'll just have a bit more of a sit back and relax until it happens. And I'll go into a bit more detail about the Typhoon and its operational history, and a bit more about the operational squadrons that operate the aircraft. So hopefully...
Tower, this is Typhoon XX001, requesting takeoff from a 0 left, requesting 8,000 feet.
X-ray 01, 8,000 feet, takeoff and hold pattern.
XX01 cleared for running.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's the time for all of you to get your cameras out if you don't already have them. And it's time to get them pointed to wherever our display item will be coming from. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. The laser, wearing a pink scheme for the October month to celebrate the breast cancer month, which is a theme throughout the whole of the Los Santos Arrows display teams. And it's something, as I mentioned before, that the team prides itself on doing, as it's quite a big month overall. But a bit more on the Typhoon. The Typhoon, as mentioned before, is powered by two EJ200 engines. And each, when combined with afterburner, produce 40,000 pounds of thrust, which is, in other terms, one hell of a lot of power. The aircraft has a single vertical stabilizer, which obviously we can't have in GTA because Rockstar doesn't have the license for a Typhoon, unfortunately. Also has a delta wing and two canards at the front instead of two rear tailplanes, which is an interesting design cube, but one that has worked tremendously for the airframe and has, of course, inspired the Saab Gripen and the Dassault Rafale. Its operational history speaks a lot about the airframe as well. Very successful in the air-to-air and air-to-ground role, although with less air targets for the Typhoon to compete with in more modern combat environments, with the main reasons for the Typhoons being deployed to the Middle East for the sake of combating terrorist cells such as the so-called Islamic State and Al-Qaeda, which have since been suppressed and destroyed, all with the help of the Royal Air Force and the USAF, with combined arms force against the terror groups, and of course with no aircraft the Typhoon has never had to actually flex its muscles in air-to-air combat. Although one component in the aircraft that has been extensively used is the fantastic Lightning Pod, the laser designation tracking device, which marks up which marks up targets for the weapons so that the pilot can launch its precision guided munitions as they strike the target on the mark.
So don't be much again. The USAF have a Memorial Fighting Song again. That's had the last minute training. So I apologize for the inconvenience, guys. So, sorry, Matt.
No worries. And there you can see a demonstration of the 6-barrel rotary gun firing with a very fast fire rate and the missiles being used. The Typhoon has a centre-mounted stick, unlike a lot of modern American aircraft which have a side-mounted stick, but it still uses the HOTAS, the hands-on throttle and stick system, although less switches are in reach of the pilot's hands on the control column than you'd find in, for instance, the F-35. The squadrons that operate the aircraft in the Royal Air Force include 29 Reserve Squadron, the OCU, or the Operational Conversion Unit. That's where you'll see the twin-seat Typhoons flying, and they're based at RAF Coningsby in Lincolnshire. Number 12 Squadron, the Qatari and British Conversion Unit, which teaches Qatari pilots to fly the aircraft before they go back to Qatar and fly the aircraft currently stationed there. That's also based at RAF Coningsby. Number 49 Squadron, the BAE Systems Test Pilot Squadron, where they evaluate and test BAE Systems upgrades to the aircraft before giving them out overall in the new tranche format. And that's, once again, is based at Royal Air Force Base Coningsby. And then there's 11 Squadron, which is based at RAF Lossiemouth up in Scotland. And recently Lossiemouth has reopened its gates and received its Typhoons once again, and alongside that the new P-8 Poseidon, the Royal Air Forces and Royal Navy's collaboration with the US Navy, which is based off a 737, and it's used for the maritime patrol role. And the Typhoons don't only get used for training, they're used on the QRA, the Quick Reaction Alert, and in more recent times they have been used to intercept aircraft such as the Tupolev Tu-95 from the Russian Air Force and the Tupolev Tu-160, the Blackjack, the Mach 2 capable swing wing bomber, also from Russia. And more friendly interceptions include that of the B-52s from Minot Air Base as they welcomed them into the country, and so on and so forth. The Typhoons are also engaged quite often in mock dogfights with aircraft from the Cobham Company, which has recently been purchased by Draken International, so hopefully we'll be able to get some Mirage F1s going up against the Eurofighter Typhoon. That'd be quite interesting to see, and definitely something that people wouldn't want to miss. So the Typhoon, quite a flexible platform to say the least in combat operations and even on homeland defence. and the Typhoon really showing its extent as a multi-role capable fighter aircraft, meaning that it can switch the roles in the middle of a combat mission. Or so to speak, it's an aircraft that can fly in, fight its way through, and then fight its way back out again. And it's a title that the aircraft thoroughly deserves when people say it's the most exceptional Generation 4.5++ fighter aircraft that's available to the modern air forces. I mean, the operators that have them is quite a varied list. We have multiple European nations in the form of Italy, Spain, Germany and the UK, as well as Austria. And then we have countries such as Saudi Arabia and Qatar in the Middle East which operate the type. And nations as far east as Indonesia are considering purchasing the type, as well as Austria is planning to get rid of their Tranche 3 versions of the Eurofighter Typhoon, and Indonesia seems to be the ideal customer for the Austrian nation, as they're offering the most money and promising to use the aircraft to their full. And unfortunately we never actually got to see the Typhoon this year because of the ongoing climate in the world with the COVID-19 pandemic going on, and we never got to see the new demonstration. But rest assured, 2021 will be a good year for display flying, and nonetheless to witness displays such as that.
Thank you very much.
So now we're going to see an example of a unrestricted climb that you'd see from a RAF base such as Lossiemouth in the event of a quick reaction alert, because the enemy doesn't like to fly at about 10,000 feet, they like to get really high at about 30,000 feet. So the Typhoons love to get the afterburners on as soon as possible, and they get up to about 200 knots in about 8 seconds before they can lift the nose up. And before that the gear's up and the aircraft's accelerating to about 500 knots at the end of the runway. The pilot will then pull back on the stick, which is a hefty 6 or 7 G pull, which is already getting the blood pumping around the pilot's body. And before that they're up to about 30,000 feet in roughly under a minute, so very exciting stuff. And then they level off and go off to intercept whoever's pestering the airspace. And often, sometimes you'll hear a sonic boom nearby the... well, you'll hear a sonic boom just around the country, and usually the aircraft responsible for that are the Eurofighter Typhoons.
Change your mind, guys. I expect to happen to leave this Dublin, so I'll go a private jet now. So I was waiting for Dylan to come down here to commentate. So we have some mixtures. So we have second difficulties with some others, handling times, swap times, please bear with us. So we get private jets now. Very nice. Moving on. Let's swap it quickly to get time. Then the USS was tomorrow flight.
Just turn around and say... Right. Let's go. Oh, wait.
So, my commentator is on your way.
Yeah, hello to it, channel.
So it's going where Max is, go to commentary box, and Max, use your name.
In my right pocket.
So first of all, do a flight pass for you knowing.
Right, yeah, so that's anything that you know, and I've just got
Is your Max?
Yes.
So it'd be me, I'm going to do a flight past private jet and laser, and then I'll do a private jet to play. Then DP will come and take for me.
That's alright.
Good evening.
So anyone who's actually watching the stream, or anyone who's actually here, you are going to finally get a break from me ranting on about stuff, and you're finally going to hear a new voice.
You got LS right first.
So when the private jet gets airborne, we're going to be seeing a new display and a new voice, because so far we've seen the 4 ship of private jets and 2 fast jet demonstrations, so a switch up of pace, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be any less exciting, because Pritch really does love to throw his private jet around, so you'll certainly enjoy it. So the 2 aircraft forming up there on the very far end of the So, ladies and gentlemen, from the left-hand side of the showgrounds, the combined fly past of the private jet demo and the laser. And now it's my duty to hand over the commentary to the private jet demo commentator, so you'll finally get to hear me shut up for a little bit and hear a new voice. So, take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. Yeah, hello everyone, I'm Dylan, or DFE, as you want to know me. And I will be going through the moves of Soap Project today. We've got a great lineup. And here it starts. If you look into our right, we do have Solar Power Jet coming in to perform the Zulu. As you can see, the Solar Power Jet is coming in and getting ready to ease up. Getting there, oh my gosh, and he's going to start to ease up. And as he goes up, the engines will start due to the final. There you go. Alright, and if we look to our left, we have Twitch coming to do a roll. And we'll see the fact that this part of the show will get pretty fun. Let's get this lovely. And there's one bar. There's 2 bars. Oh, I'm in such a... There you go. If we look to our right, we have the gear pass, we can have 2 guns, and we have the 2 birds together. And let's have it, the Solar Power Jet has never actually had a VIP plan take his jet, because if they did, they'd try and beat their champagne and destroy their boats. So it's just kind of a not very luxury way of travelling. If we look to our left, we see Fritch doing the 4-point roll. Yeah, there's 90. There's 180. Alright, and if you look on that, so far it's coming on again for the middle time.
Like 10 to 8.
And as you look over, you can see the roof of which is private jet, flying over, and
yeah.
And this is the fun part of the show, we get our fans to be more interactive, so we get to count how many barrels Twitch can do today. His record is too high, can't remember what it is.
Joint flight with the arrows.
Let's see what he's doing us today.
10 to 8.
Private jet, scroll, roll, go.
And there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and he's gonna add you. There you go, 10 of that. Average is probably around 10. Alright, and if you look to the right hand side, Soap Out Jet is on his way, getting ready to perform the half tube in. As he comes into view, that's ready to turn. Here he comes. Ooh, getting very close this time. I do advise dropping your head down as it gets quite dangerous. And speaking of dangerous, our next move, I think it's actually one of my favourites to be fair, I quite like it. I mean, it's not very well named, but it's called the Dolphin. But I do believe that it's quite a interesting name. As Fritch is not a dolphin, he is not elegant, he goes right up in the air as you can see now, and he goes right down. I mean, if he keeps going down as he does, he's going to end up a dolphin in the beach in a second. But that's all good. And there he goes. A very unelegant up and down. Very nice. Hello. Alright. As Fritch moves away, we are getting into the more dangerous part of the display. Obviously, the fan favourite is getting brutalised by the jet is coming up very shortly. And if you look towards us, we do have the Hoverloop at Fritch comes in. This is very, what's the word? It's quite like the stupid. He comes up, and he does hold it. It looks like he tried to fly backwards, but we make I'll have him move into the base, he flies backwards. And there he goes. And now this is where it does get dangerous, because our next move to the left is low flyover. And as Fritch comes in, he's got getting ready to hit the people on the box. Who sees in it today? Oh, there's no casualties. What a relief. The amount of money that Fritch has lost to the courthouse is mad, because he has injured a lot of people in this place. And off he goes. And if we look to the right, here comes so far Jet, final fly pass for today's display. Obviously, I and so far Jet will be back again tomorrow for another fun day of displays. Oh, I've gone into this isn't in the corner.
Fritch? Yeah,
It is.
we have a problem. What?
And it's
So-
Fritch.
The arrows are meant to be displaying at 8:40, aren't they?
Yeah.
Ed has to go out at 20 past 8.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, they
We
got my
cancelled.
spot.
So that means that means we'll have to do the fly pass with the Petrie, and then we'll have to go straight after the Petrie into our display.
We haven't got Lewis going on.
We haven't got Lewis yet, no.
Because I was going to say, we could cancel this as well, yeah?
Cancel what?
Yeah. Display for...
Fuck off!
Nah, we won't split on.
I mean, yeah, Twitch, I'm gonna have to delay my team because my synchro pilot isn't gonna be back for like another half an hour.
Okay.
So if USF wanna go, well, Red Robin's in USF, then they can just do that, and I'll just go off with like LSLs. I'm sure after that my synchro pilot should be back. Yeah, guys, that was my part of Check Out Jet. Hope you enjoyed the commentary. Also, I will be back again tomorrow. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's the Warship 500 again, so I'll be back for that as well. So hope you enjoy it, and I will hand you all back over to me.
Yeah, cheers. That was a fantastic display, and the commentary was fantastic to go along with that too. Helped us to see where things were going on and showing off a demonstration that we all love very, very dearly.
Alright, I'll see you later.
Keep on. So what's next is USF plus the Morris flights. we wait for Red Robins. Owen.
Yeah.
What should we do? We get 5-minute break because fog's pushing in.
There's no fog here.
There's a bit of fog in the airport.
Yeah, good chance. The airport is not the beach.
Yeah, Red Robins.
Have you found it? Are they there?
Hmm?
Are they in my pocket?
No.
They're not?
No.
Did you check the other one?
Mm-hmm. Check like the front pockets, check the inside pockets.
Check my bag. Yes.
No, I didn't.
In my top zip.
Fucking hell, Ed. Oh, you saw about that? Fucking shit, Owen. Need to aim for Ed.
believe this is the Red Robins.
So, Matt, so this is the Red Robins celebrations?
I think so.
Yes, they're the Red Robins. So after the Red Robins, we have the US Air Force.
So it looks like a slightly reduced display than what we're normally used to in terms of flying. Because you'll usually see teams of up to 8 or 9. This team streamlined it down to just 4. Which is probably more ideal when it comes to training. And hello everyone who's joined the stream. And here we are now, the smoke coming on, the red, white and blue, and they'll be bringing the formation round to our left but their right, and we're going to see the red, white and blue smoke showing off. And as the team isn't actually based off any real life teams, the aircraft that they fly, I'm probably just going to presume it's based off of, well, the aircraft is based off in real life, the Mikhail Gudovich MiG-17, and a 5th jet there joining up with the formation. So the second of the Soviet aircraft on our lineup, well, obviously the first being the Sukhoi Su-27, and now we have the earlier, probably one of the earliest renditions of the fighter jet, and probably one of the most successful for the Soviets as well, in the form of the no worries, in the form of the MiG-17. This airframe quite successful in the Vietnam War, claiming plenty of F4s, although also being claimed by plenty of F4s as well. So it's almost a vice versa. The Mikhail Gudovich Aviation Bureau actually bought licenses from the You alright? Okay.
Who the fuck's that then? So this is Typhoon Tornado. Who smokes that?
Yeah, sorry, the MiG Bureau design. Deciding to purchase British engines built by Rolls-Royce to power the MiG-15 and 17, and it saw plentiful service in not only the Russian Air Force, the Vietnamese too, and now we see it before us as part of the Red Robins.
So ladies and gentlemen, there is a problem with Rockstar at Rockstar.
So there's the leader there, forming the infinity break. And here they synchro pair come, performing an opposition cross. And the three they're pulling up into the vertical, and they'll come down off the top of that loop and bring it towards us. We're flying over.
Very good sync best. But for the opposition.
Getting very close to the water there. And you can see there off in the distance the red, white and blue in a line astern formation. Unfortunately, my commentary for this display isn't going to be as detailed as usual, because personally I don't actually know the routine off by heart, so yeah.
So now the sync best are coming for rice. The vortex. Again with like carousel. Opposition barrel. Carousel. Opposition barrel with nice legend. Matt,
Yes.
the best way to stop the red robins.
What's that?
2 moves left, then finish. Then US Air Force Memorial Flag.
Alright.
This is the Scotty Wood.
Hello everybody, I am here to commentate the last day of the Red Robins because I'm landed, so yeah. here we see the Red Robins getting ready to do their iconic move, the double heart. I've only been with Red Robins for 2 days, so yeah, we did. But yeah, some double heart thing where I think they both went from 2 different angles and they both do a heart. And here they come. And as they start to eat up, they are going to get ready for the heart. And there we go, and they are coming down. And beautiful, there's our 2 hearts. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the Red Robin display. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say on the video, but yeah, hope you enjoyed. Goodbye. The Red Robins are redoing their iconic move, the double heart, because it was on their time. So, yeah. And here they go. Leading up into the heart. And here we go. He's down, and there we go. I don't know what I just watched there, but yeah. Yeah, that was the Red Robins display. Hope you enjoyed. Yeah. Yeah, Matt, Red Robins are sorry for not being your country list.
That's alright, I mean,
But, yeah. The last bit was a double part, that's what I can tell you. The rest is all just mumble. James is a very fast talker, and I won't swear, so I don't know what I'm all saying. Anyways, you're on the ground, fight chat. Bye-bye.
well, now we're going to have something a bit more, well, something that I can talk about at least, in the form of the USAF memorial flight, and they'll be bringing 2 examples, I believe, unless they haven't added more or taken an aircraft out. They'll be bringing 2 aircraft to us, one in the form of the North American Aviation P-51D and the Lockheed Electra, which is in military terms would be the Harpoon or the Electra, dependent on variants.
So the next flight is US Air Force.
And unlike what we've seen before throughout the whole day of flying, it's going to be one of a bit more relaxedness. There's going to be less high energy manoeuvrability, although the takeoff for the twin-engined aircraft, the Electra, would say differently. But no, this display is a bit more of a less intensive one, less loud for the ears in terms of jet noise, because there's no jets, it's just good old piston power. So wherever the 2 aircraft are, they'll probably be over here very, very, very shortly.
Use it with the battery lift. Down now?
No, just so I know. Yeah. And by the looks of it, the aircraft are on the roll, and I think I was mistaken when I said it was going to be no piston power. Sorry, it was going to be purely piston power, because it looks like, by the sounds of things, we're going to have not one, not two, but 4 jets. So that was my vote on that one. But I believe at the moment we'll now have a jet from the Patwi de Los Santos with us and present now. It is nice to see, and they'll be displaying very shortly as well. And I have the absolute pleasure to commentate for that display as well. Well, I have the pleasure to commentate for everyone's displays, but I've been selected to do the commentary for that particular display, so and I think without further ado, this is the, well, the seemingly reworked and revised version of the USAF Heritage Flight. And rightly so, it's more of a heritage flight, because we have 3 of the examples that currently serve in US Air Force and US Marine Corps service. The aircraft leading the formation is the Hydra in game, but in real life it's the AV-8B Harrier. Not to be confused with the EAV-8B of the Spanish Armada. The second aircraft is the Laser, or the F-16, in the US Air Force, and lastly the A-10C Warthog, Thunderbolt II, affectionately nicknamed, the successful CAS aircraft I was on about earlier, when it was flown by the duo team that flew the aircraft. So the AV-8B, the Harrier, originally started life as a British product, and that's the aircraft that's just broken off there, so it was rather appropriate timing. Started off as a British product, designed around the VTOL engine, the Rolls-Royce Pegasus engine, with 4 variable nozzles, and the design developed and grew. It was sold off as a license and originally was produced as the AV-8A, and then sold as the AV-8C. The C was a more modern version of the A, but nothing too spectacular. And there's a gun run from the A-10, showing off how it would attack an enemy in a combat situation. So very reminiscent there of a real-life combat scenario, where it would unload a lot of bullets and then release flares. And there goes the precision-guided munitions. And as mentioned before, the A-10 has gone through multiple phases, from the A to the B, and then finally to the C, which is the current modern one, which is considered for retirement. And here comes the F-16 firing off its Vulcan cannon. The most powerful and fastest aircraft of the whole display here, capable of speeds over Mach 1. Which is the speed of sound, so it's probably about, I think it's about Mach 1.6 or 7 the F-16 is capable of, and has an impressive combat record with only 1 loss to enemy fire, which was a Indian MiG-21. And now all 3 aircraft have joined up again in the line of stern formation, and as mentioned before, the aircraft is the AV-8B, and as I was on about before, the AV-8C was the final rendition before the AV-8B, so they chose the C name before the B. And then the B is now the latest one, which is currently in service with the Italian, Spanish and US navies. And there they go, the A-10C breaking off first, the AV-8B second, and then the F-16 third. And I believe we're about to see multiple passes from all 3 aircraft, the AV-8B leading it, the F-16 in second, and then the A-10. Something quite cool about the AV-8B is that it actually has little puffer jets on the control surfaces as the services require air over the control services to actually function correctly, and because the aircraft in VTOL or VSTOL doesn't have it available to it, it can't control, so the puffer jets are there to aid control. And a second jet's joined, almost like an aggressor to the display, in the form of the Mikhail Gurevich MiG-17. And here comes the gun run demonstrations. This is almost like a demonstration of how the CAS teams would work together. So you get a person on the ground called JTAC, and they would laser in a target for the aircraft, and then the aircraft would look at the laser through the heads-up display or the hood, and then they would open fire with either the 30mm or 25mm guns, or they would use precision-guided munitions, although the gun is preferred when there is civilians in the area, and precision-guided munitions for buildings, for example. And here comes the aggressor now from the left-hand side in the form of the Mikhail Gurevich MiG-17. This one's been more retrofitted with flares, so it's a bit more of a modern example, but nonetheless it's quite nice to see a different contrast. And in more recent years we have seen aircraft such as the T-33 Shooting Star and the MiG-17 and MiG-15 flying formation to represent solidarity between the US and Russian states. And now the right hand side, you can see all four aircraft now joining up together. And this is definitely one of those display items that usually catches your eye in America, because you see plenty of displays, and now even more over here, because it's four aircraft that you don't usually see flying formation together. So to pull this off is a fantastic feat. And you can see the two fighter aircraft heading off on their own path, and the two, well, you've got the singular ground attack aircraft and the singular aggressor taking their own flight paths before performing a break. And then they're rejoining up once again. The AV-8B opting to fly inverted. Bit of contact made there, but nonetheless. And the two external aircraft are now performing knife edges around the two aircraft which are in inverted and level flight. This is one of those displays that you actually won't see often. I can tell you now, actually, this is one of those displays that I would happily watch again. See there, the aircraft crossing over. It's quite a rare formation. This is, seeing three of the current serving frontline aircraft of the US infantry. And what's more is that the US Air Force Heritage Flight does usually like to bring together the Air Force, but in this particular instance we're bringing together the Marine Corps as well as the Air Force to celebrate the achievements of those who flew during the Second World War and First World War, and in any proxy conflicts that happened since the end of the Second World War. And I believe that now concludes the US Air Force memorial demonstration. So well, considering I was expecting a P-51D and a Lockheed Electorate, very, very welcome.
Is that good? That done now?
I think so.
So next is Golden Eagles, because the Blue Stingrays are not ready. So waiting guys for Golden Eagles. So, Matt,
Yes.
are we ready to see the Golden Eagles?
I think we are, yes.
The Golden Eagles start going any minute now. So after the Golden Eagles, we have seen a joint flight path with LS Arrows and Patchouli Dollar.
So is that happening now?
I think going live. So Golden Eagles then beat LS Arrows.
Alright.
For the Golden Eagles and the NSOs. You want me to go?
Yeah.
That's all. What, the joint flight past?
But then they're doing a display.
So we Golden Eagles then
Wait,
beat
what's
LS
happening
Arrows
with
and
this?
Patchouli. So that'd be LS Arrows then.
So, on the old strip, it goes to
Always
Zephyr.
lagged out.
Well, we're not doing Zephyr, that's instead the butterfly. So what I've just sent you is what Steve sent. So go basically copy mention what he's put on that list.
So basically, once
And
he
then
gets to
then change over
once he
to
gets to
the
the butterfly papillon, then he goes straight to the figure of the week.
should what did you just say?
Once he gets to papillon, it goes to the figure of the week.
Yeah. And then you carry on from there. Yeah, basically.
Specimen.
Nope.
Whoever got cops, please call them off, please. Golden Eagles. Yo, James the Maps.
Hello.
We getting our jet ready.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have the airport with them.
No worries, perfect. It's just the joint fly past and then LS Arrows straight after.
LS Arrows then, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. No worries.
I'll take guys a minute.
Yeah. Welcome those 7 people in the stream. And we are currently watching from left to right the Golden Eagles. The Golden Eagles have been displaying the, well, currently the A10, which has been spoken about already. But they, as a team, have been displaying on PS4 back in March of this year. And they started their existence with the NHS flypasts, and they now have over 1,100 followers. A very, very impressive feat for what some people might say is the best B11 display team on PS4. So in from the right, 4 aircraft getting low on the pier side, each putting their smoke systems on. So the Golden Eagle was led today by TGE Matt. He's the flight lead of this particular display team for this year. Normally on his left hand side is Sam. Golden Eagle is now out to the left hand side. Over the buildings they come, and what looks like a diamond. So what we would normally have for this year in their usual 7 ship is Eagle 3 Lethal on the right hand wing of Eagle 1, and then followed by Fatal Conduct in slot 1, as they're about to pull up on an angle. One jet rolls around the outskirts before heading into a complete loop. Now we have one B11 coming straight towards us. So the A10, of course, is completely manufactured and operated by the US, and like the F-22, hasn't been exported at all to any other nations, but as mentioned earlier, has seen a fair bit of combat, and although it's aging, still has a very prominent and relevant role in today's combat. So prepare from the right hand side on the B axis on the 45 degrees. If you look just slightly out to the end of the pier, the 4 jets are coming in what as a Red Arrows manoeuvre would be the mirror, and it looks like they're going to bend that formation around with one jet
inverted the other one the right way up. The other two jets now rolling around the outskirts. And at the moment, I'm not going to jinx it, but it is very nice weather indeed, and that is what we want for our next display item. We're going to have a very special joint fly past coming up. Beautifully, I was just going to say, beautifully choreographed before their incident. And of course, I believe the Golden Eagles organised 10 plus NHS flypasts to celebrate the contribution of the NHS frontline staff alongside all the key workers at the time. So a very, very good way to say thank you to those in service. So with the Golden Eagles now completing their display, we are now waiting for our special treat for tonight. And of course, me commentating for this evening, particularly for the LS Arrows. You'll hear Matt with the Patrie de los Santos, the Patrie de France inspired display. I'm going to see something unusual from the LS Arrows today, with one jet specifically painted in a different colour, and we'll explain that a little bit later on. Welcome 10 people in the stream. I hope you're enjoying the air show so far. Greatly appreciated all the support that we get. We are now about to shortly show you a treat. So the LS Arrows have gone through various different changes as a display team. And there is one of the display jets that we use, and that is our supervisor and photographer. Make sure to give him a little wave as well. So as we've already established, that green jet is our usual coloured jets for this year. The LS Arrows that we've already established have gone through several changes as a display team. First, representing the Red Arrows in their red and white jets, as you will have seen a couple of shows ago, where we showed off the different colours of the jets that the Arrows have had in its history. Of course, the team is 3 years old, and in that time the team has moved on from the Red Arrows inspired display, showcasing the Al Fursan of the UAE, or as people would more so know, Dubai and Abu Dhabi, that region of the world, painted in the black and red jets with the fuel tanks below on the underside of the wings. And now we've got rid of them and repainted the jets to green and white, bar one, which is the lead jet for tonight, painted in special colours, as we now show off the neighbours of the UAE in Saudi Arabia, painting the skies with the green and white of the flag of the Saud. And we have got a very, very entertaining flight past lined up and display to follow, so keep your eyes in front, up in the skies as we get ready. So as we get ready, we've already seen a fair bit of good action already today, and it's only about to get better. We are whilst we are waiting, we are now awaiting the LS Arrows to follow shortly. Later on, we're also going to see the PDLS, the Patria de los Santos, in our new configuration of a team. And many, many more. So, including the Falcon, which shall be later on in the show. Whilst we get ready with the various different pilots, I should update everyone that the PDLS was once a sister team or child team to the LS Arrows, founded by Laser, but obviously since he's wanted to commit more of his time towards the arrows and perfecting the arrows with the new additions of pilots that we've got, hence his departure from the team. The PDLS is now in the hands of Athos 1, which is Steve, and Matt will talk much more about that later on. But he also played a big role in the development of the LS Arrows. Steve unfortunately left the LS Arrows to take lead of the PDLS, and whilst those two team leaders have separated in terms of teams, they certainly haven't separated in terms of partnership. So this is what we're about to see as the two teams get up. And we should note that the front jet of the LS Arrows is painted in different colours for this month, of course celebrating the breast cancer awareness for this month. Hence the lead jet of the LS Arrows, flown by Laser himself tonight, is painted differently to the rest of the team. So we currently, as a team, have 9 pilots on roll. We also have ourselves as commentators and photographers as well. We'll talk more about the team as the jets are up in the air. Thank you to all the support for the 11 people in the stream. Greatly appreciated. So the jets that would normally be flown in these instances in the real world would be the BAE Systems Hawk T1, similarly to the Red Arrows of the Royal Air Force. Of course, the Saudi Hawks in the real world paint the skies with green, white and red colours, and they've been active since 1999. It's a relatively new team on the block, slightly older than those in the region, including the Al Forsan of the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, which only set up as recently as 2012. Normally in the real world, the Saudi Hawks fly just 7 jets, whilst we have a full 9 ship, making the most of the available pilots. So the team debuted, although being set up in 1998, debuted in 99, and that celebrated the Kingdom's 100th anniversary of existence. Whilst we wait for the pilots to get ready in their jets, they're now just going to have a small debrief from both teams. Currently we have 4 pilots ready and waiting for the LS Arrows. So like we've said, the jets that the Saudi Hawks use is the same as the Red Arrows, and so we've even compared the Saudi Hawks to the RAF Red Arrows. And actually, as a fun fact, ex-Red Arrow pilots have helped to train the Saudi Hawks in their development, much like the Frecce and the Patrie de France with the UAE Al Fursan. They even displayed back in 2012 alongside their UAE counterparts at the Royal International Air Tattoo of 2012. Of course, Saudi Arabia has a lot of aircraft similar to the Western world. It has extensive fleets of US aircraft, including more noticeably the F-15 Strike Eagle. It also has the very, very well established Eurofighter Typhoon delivered by BAE Systems, based in the UK. A lot of these Saudi Arabian equipment, as we said, is already supplied by the UK more so, alongside the United States, and both nations are extensively involved in training programs conducted in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Back in 2007, just before the financial crisis, Saudi Arabia announced that it was going to buy about 70, just over 70 I think it was, Typhoons from the UK, boosting the economy by about $4.5 billion. Of course, it's also bought the BAE Systems Hawk, both as a trainer and of course with their aerobatic team. And Saudi Arabia also used one of the most prominent Cold War era jets as well, produced and manufactured by the English company of General Electric. It operated the Lightning. Lightning, of course, one of those favourite aircraft of many people, and it has those twin stacked engines, unlike a conventional one where they're side by side. They have also operated the Panavia Tornado. As we just wait for the 2 sets of teams to get the pilots ready. I believe that we're having some technical issues with some of the pilots on behalf of the LS Arrows, hence why there's a delayed start to the flying schedule. So we are looking for the main 7 jets, I should say, the core part of the team for the LS Arrows tonight, otherwise we may not be able to display. So our Saudi 11, whilst we're just waiting for the other pilots, we have 12 people on the team, 9 pilots up in the air. Ourselves is Saudi 10, and we also have Saudi 11 and 12. Saudi 11 is Bill. He's also a part of the Golden Eagles. He's our photographer for this year, so make sure to go and follow him. And he's also dropped off his jet here on the beach as well, so you can have a look at that if you wish to. And our Saudi 12 is Joella. Might even see one of our photographers getting up in the air, just as a quick update. So there's 2 things we can't control, and we always say, is the weather and technical issues, and unfortunately we might just have a couple of technical issues just to make things easier for us. There we go. There's the photographer who may even be displaying for us this evening. So let's have a look on the status of the jets. So we might even be getting more jets. Let's just have a look. 1, 2, 6. 6 people in the stream. Thank you for watching and bearing with us. So to kick off the Vespucci Beach Air Festival Day 1, I don't think we've done too badly today at all, so we are just getting ready. We have a 6 ship for the PDLS tonight by the look of it, and we might even have a 7 ship for the LS Arrows. It might not be our conventional 7 ship, as some of our support team have, by the look of it, had to get involved due to some technical issues, but that's no worry. As we just went. Should also mention that we do have a new pilot on the team, which we'll talk a little bit about. Of course, the one running the air show today. But due to the split of the LS Arrows away from the PDLS, there's been some pilot changes as well, and we'll talk about them as they get ready. And the PDLS are moving and on the way. There we go, we are about to see the special fly pasts of these two teams. As they both line up on the runway. So get ready. We are about to see the PDLS leading the way of the LS Arrows. So what they're doing now, they're probably just conversing with each other, ensuring that both teams are all set. And talking of all set, we now watch the PDLS get airborne. We do only have a 6 ship with the PDLS tonight, which we also, as Vulcan to the Sky, have the pleasure of working with and commentating for as well. Followed by the Saudi Hawks inspired display of the LS Arrows. Both sets of teams now are going to get ready. Out into the distance on our right hand side, you can see the 2 sets of nose lights on the jets disappearing as they reposition. As you can see there, the PDLS now being caught up by the LS Arrows. And what we should be expected to see is the PDLS splitting themselves equally, with 3 jets on either side of a big battle of the LS Arrows. Now get those cameras ready, out to the right hand side. I believe they're about to be rolling in. Just as the fog's coming in, but don't worry. Here we go. Perfectly executed by the 2 sets of teams in very difficult conditions as well. Beautifully done. So it seems as though the LS Arrows are now peeling off the whole formation of the PDLS. I think we might just be getting 2 separate run-ins now. As they come in once again from the left hand side. Might be a little bit difficult. We'll try and see if we can manage. No, so what's happened is the PDLS have landed on the left hand runway, And the LSROs landed on the opposite side. So although it wasn't quite what we wanted in terms of weather conditions, you might have been able to see more of what we had on offer. But don't worry, you'll see both sets of teams getting ready once again. I believe we are actually getting another fly pass once the conditions clear, which is always very welcome news. So yeah, there's two things, as we always say, that we can't control: the weather and technical issues. Welcome 10 people in the stream. I hope you've enjoyed what you've already seen so far. It's only about to get that little bit better. So what we're waiting for now is a little break in the weather. Waiting for it to clear up.
Come on.
And then hopefully we'll be able to see the both sets of jets getting airborne once again. So we're just going to get a quick weather update.
Virtually.
I think he's in party chat with the arrows.
Alright. Yeah, because we're going to have to go soon because we've got Dutch pilot and he cannot come longer.
Yeah.
He's our single, so he's like half the show. So.
Yeah.
Alright, great. Alright, thank you, mate.
So I think it should be clearing very shortly. Some people in the stream, welcome and thank you for sticking around, and you'll only be rewarded for that with hopefully a very special fly pass that we might be able to see this time around. So both team leaders of the LSROs and the PDLS are very, very experienced pilots. The LSROs, of course, around for the last 3 years display team on the display circuit. But of course they're not afraid to update their display list and program. And of course the leader of the PDLS, the Patri de los Santos, has been around for about just over 2 years now. And that experience really does bring a lot of calm into the development of teams, particularly in the PDLS where you're learning a new display. And that experience just helps that little bit more. It slowly breaks in the weather. the LSROs are now realigning themselves up on the runway, just behind the Patty de los Santos. They're in a new formation now on the runway, the PDLS. And if you haven't seen the PDLS display as of yet, it's definitely one to stick around for later on today. An incredible display that we've been working really hard on over the last couple of weeks. Just waiting for that fog to shift a little bit more before these two get airborne. Possibly two of the most respected teams in the community. So if you're watching this live on the stream, thank you very much, and if you'll watch it later on, thank you. But also, just as importantly, those that are watching here on the facilities of the beach, hope you're enjoying that as well. So I think as the weather's just clearing, it's behaving itself now, we might even get to see the two sets of teams rise again. So I'm just having a little bit of a conversation with Athos 1 of the PDLS, and I think we might just be getting some movement with the two teams. So as we just wait for 3 jets to land there. There we go, the PDLS is up and running. And of course, the Saudi Hawks of the LSROs following behind. Get those cameras ready. This is going to be a special one. If you haven't already, please go and follow both the LSROs on Instagram and the Patty de los Santos. Both will be sharing some very interesting content over the next coming days and weeks as the teams continue to develop. So I believe as this fly past completes, as they are just about to form up, as they complete that, I believe the two teams are going to split and the LSROs are going to start their display. So get ready, those 7 people in the stream currently, those people on the rocks. It's time for those print screens and those video recordings. Out to that right hand side, the two teams are now joining up. They're going to now choreography of the moves that we've practiced during the week. get ready. It's not many times we get to see collaborations like this of two of the best display teams in the community. So get ready with those cameras. This is the special joint flight past. Beautifully executed, showcasing the blue jets of the Patria de los Santos, the green jets, and the green and white smoke that they trailed behind absolutely perfectly. Showcasing what can be achieved with the collaboration of two teams working closely to develop one another and improve each other is what it's all about. Now, should be interesting to see what happens in this next fly past now. Of course, the PDLS still leading the formation. Now we should be expecting to see a change on their way back. So if you haven't already, get those cameras zoomed all the way in. Both sets of jets should be just skimming the tops of the buildings out in the distance of LSIA. So just preparing themselves now from the left hand side, showcasing the opposite colours of the French flag. Beautifully done by both sets of teams as they both put their wheels down. Now their undercarriage comes down, slowing the aircraft down to basically its lowest end of the speed spectrum. Now this will be interesting to see what happens. Yeah, exactly what we suspected. The PDLS have now split the 6 jets equally, 3 each side, and now this is one of a spectacular sight. Get those cameras ready, the print screens ready. This is something you don't see very often. If you thought battle was good, you haven't quite seen a 15-ship battle, courtesy of 2 display teams. Get ready, a mixture of both the green and whites of the Saudi flag, the blue, white and red of the French flag. The gear is up. Get ready. As they exit out to that left hand side, can you even call that perfection? Absolutely perfect. So as the 6 jets, the 3 on either side of the LS Arrows now split, They now peel off the rest of the formation, leaving the 7 jets now of the LS Arrows. Not many times you get to see a sight like that at all, and that was definitely a major highlight, even for us in all of our time in the community. Absolutely perfect. All credits of course go to the 2 team leaders, 2 of the most experienced pilots that we have around. Now, by the look of it, lining up for something different and special. Look at that, all the way out in the distance. That is perfect. Get ready as the smoke's about to come on. The PDLS braking first. Beautifully done. Insanely good by 2 sets of very talented pilots. Indeed. Very well done to the 2 sets of pilots of the 2 teams. That comes courtesy of the LS Arrows and of course the PDLS, the Patria de los Santos. So we'd like to thank Pritch for being able to organise that and showcase that into the actual air show itself, alongside Steve, the team leader of the Patria de los Santos, and of course Owen of the LS Arrows. You're not going to get many sights better than that.
Matt, it's just you there.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. At the moment, yeah.
Alright.
So 10 people in the stream, you got what you waited for. Of course, some technical issues got in the way, but you don't get to see that very often. So 10 people in the stream. If you didn't catch that, of course you can rewind and watch one of the major highlights in the community. A 15 ship battle formation and a perfect break from the PDLS first, followed by the LS Arrows. Beautifully choreographed by the two sets of team leaders. And now I believe the LS Arrow should be getting airborne once again to start their display. So the PDLS have now landed, and now we will stay grounded until getting airborne once again for their show slot later on in the evening. Taking a wider line to start the display. It's not our usual 7 ship today. We can go all the way up to a full 9 ship. As we just wait for our Saudi 12 to join the rest of the formation. Get ready then. We have got an action-packed display ready and waiting for you this evening. So those 11 people in the stream, get ready with those print screens. The team's about to roll in. Ladies and gents, it is now time. Put your hands together for the first time tonight. It's the 2020 LS Arrows. So, pulling up into their entry loop. Coming in from behind in battle formation. Spanning about 150 feet from left to right. And pulling up into their battle loop. As they're now repositioned for their first change of the display, the team today is led by Saudi 1. Saudi 1 is Laser or Owen. Owen's founded the team 3 years ago this year. And of course, as we mentioned earlier, started the display as the Red Arrows inspired display before moving on to the UAE Al Forsan and now the Saudi Hawks. Get ready with those cameras. It's our first change of this evening. Out to the left hand side on the 45 degrees. Get ready as he bends the formation. This is the bell. Of course, we're having to do a little bit of a loser plan with one of the jets missing. So as they exit out to the right hand side now, Saudi 1 now calls them into a new formation. So Saudi 2 today is our actual Saudi 12 on the listings if you follow the main page. That is Joella. She's a backup pilot alongside a photographer as well. On Saudi 1's left hand side will be Saudi 3, one of our newer pilots to the display, which is Lewis. He joined us about a month ago and has undergone intense training to get up to speed with the rest of the team. From the right hand side, this is the Typhoon. Typhoon, of course, produced and manufactured by the UK, German, Italian and Spanish Air Forces. It's seen a lot of export success, including the Saudi Air Force itself.
Can someone tell me, please?
Alongside the Qatari Air Force, also joining forces with the UK with number 12 Squadron. Our third change in our display this evening will be coming in from the left hand side. So you can notice there the rest of the team is painted with green green painted jets. Our lead jet, of course, promoting awareness for breast cancer this month, is painted in pink. Get ready as we fly the Spear. Out into the sunset there, beautifully done. And you can see some of the adjustments that the pilots are making, both in the joystick but more so with the throttle. And you can see the afterburner, which wouldn't happen with the BAE Systems Hawks. You can see them on these jets now, and what that does, it just gives the engine a little bit more power. Obviously the pilots are using that today to perfect and smooth out the rest of their formations. And now reposition out to the right hand side across the pier. One from the Swedish Air Force, one of the classics in aviation history. Get ready, this is the Viggen. The Viggen, of course, produced and manufactured by the company of Saab. Today, they produce one of the most feared aircraft on the display circuit, and that comes in the form of the Saab Gripen. One of the cheaper options to the Typhoon, which we've seen a formation of a little earlier, and the French counterpart of the Dassault Rafale, which we'll see in the PDLS display. Looks like we're inbound with a few more technical issues. We should have had 7 jets up today. We had to do a loser plan of 6, and it looks like we've just lost another pilot, making it 5. So we're going to continue anyway. If you watch the red arrows, you'll notice this formation. Normally with the red, white and blue, we're now going to paint the skies with the green and whites. In from the left hand side with the nose lights showing. Get those cameras ready. This is Phoenix. Beautiful smoke colours that the dye team have put in today. Nice and deep white and green smoke fitted to the jets. The smoke is essentially a dye that's fitted to the jets, and that obviously combusts with the heat of the engine, and that leaves a smoke-like trail behind the jets. What we do is put different dye colours in, and that allows us to change the different smokes. Get ready. They've now finished Phoenix formation. We're now getting ready for another change in our display. out to the right hand side. You can see those nose lights once again. The smoke's about to come on as the team are now in Hammer. Now this really is a loser plan. It should be 2 jets up on what we have at the moment, but the team are continuing anyway. Saudi 4 today, and for this year replaces one of our old pilots, and that is Pritch. He originally joined the Arrows a couple of months ago and he's left, but he's now joined the team back, and it's our pleasure to have him back on the team. A very, very experienced pilot indeed. Saudi 5 today is Ed, and he's a former Reds pilot alongside some of the others that we have, more notably Saudi 6 Charlie. He joined us about a month and a half ago, and like Lewis, which is our Saudi 3, has undergone intense training and has integrated well with the rest of the team. Now, as they disappear just behind the buildings of LSIA, I think we've got an extra jet joining the formation, which is good news. Yep, we are back to a 6 ship, which is good. And we might even have a full 7 ship as they return. Yes, we do. That's what we want to see. So, as part of Saudi Arabia, we like to integrate well and celebrate the success and the history of our fellow nations in the region of the Gulf. Now, out to the left hand side, we're going to celebrate one of the closest partners to Saudi Arabia in Egypt. Now, as they come in from the left hand side, we're now going to paint the skies in a particular shape with 2 jets rolling around the outskirts. This is the Pyramid Rolls. Beautifully representing the Saudi flag as the sky gets darker. So far you've seen the team in, well, should have seen the team in a full 7 ship. Now we're going to change it up just that little bit, as the front 5 jets now are going to split away from the 2 jets trailing behind. They're our synchro pair today. So now look straight ahead at crowd centre. You can see the smoke's about to come on. The front 5 pull straight up. Look at the 2 at the bottom as we perform the logo splits. So the synchro performing a sword-like shape as they split, whilst the front 5 perform their own individual break. Now get your eyes back on the synchro pair, left and right. They're now going to be approaching each other at a closing speed. Sorry, together. And the 1 jet rolling very, very tightly to the other. Look at the precision that both pilots are having to do. The lead jet is trying to keep the jet as straight as possible despite the turbulence, and he's managed very, very well. So they have completed the twister, They're now repositioning as they're straight and level from the right hand side. They're now talking to Saudi 1. He's now got them in an inverted V. That can only mean one thing. As the synchro just timing it right, as you can see, going around for an extra circuit, making sure that the timing is perfect. The smoke is on. Get those cameras ready. This is the Goose. So as the 5 jets now collapse the formation to just 6 feet apart once again, they exit out to the right hand side, leaving the synchro out to the left. Now keep your eyes on the jets out to the right hand side. And they're now repositioning for one of the highlights of our display. What you can see now is there's going to be 4 in what should be diamond formation, and 1 jet is now going to roll around the green and white smoke. Get those cameras ready. This is the flag roll. The Saudi 5 rolling around the outskirts about half a dozen times, and he'll be getting quite dizzy as he completes that particular manoeuvre. However, point your eyes straight out in front now as the synchro now perform the scissor break. Showcasing those prominent green smoke trails behind their particular jets, and they're now going to reposition once again from the left and right, approaching each other now at a closing speed of 800 miles an hour. This is the Ring, performing a flat 360-degree turn, crossing 3 times, getting very close. Perfectly done there by our synchro pair tonight. Perfectly done. Now out to the left hand side, they're all with their smoke on. They're now going to flick that smoke off and perform synchronized rolls in the Revolution. That's what would normally happen when they switch the smoke off. You'd see that with the red arrows. What we've done with our display is left the smoke on as we do those rolls. That just makes it that little bit harder once you complete that particular manoeuvre to then regain sight of the pilot next to you. However, the team train about 2 to 3 times a week for about 2 hours each training session. Now joining up with a synchro pair behind them out at crowd centre. We've named this after the nation itself. Look straight ahead with the smoke on. It's time for the Saudi break. Beautifully done there by the 5 jets of Saudi 1 to 5. And 6 and 7 for today. The synchro breaking perfectly. Now the synchro approaching each other once again. And this is what we call the opposition waves. Once Once they've crossed, they complete that and complete synchronized opposition barrel rolls once they've crossed. Now if you zoom all the way in out into the distance of Crowd Centre, the smoke is on. Saudi 1, what we would normally call over here the infinity break, this is what we call the pincer break. Now looking left and right for the synchro pair once again. As they split. They're now just coordinating with each other. As they fly out into the distance, they're now going to pull straight up once again towards us. Get ready, approaching each other, now going to cross once again. As they fly the slingshot. The team have been training really hard this week, making sure that our display for you this evening and over the course of the weekend is as pitch perfect as we can get it. Now looking left and right, two sets of jets approach each other. The white smoke on the bottom flying straight at each other, whilst the two at the top pull straight up and perform a synchronized roll. Looking left and right for the synchro pair once again, performing opposition barrel rolls. Now once they crossed, they're now going to perform the crossbow. That's where both jets now go inverted on their respective sides. Now get those eyes to the left hand side. What we're going to be doing now in our next manoeuvre, we're just waiting for the rest of the jets to form up. For this next one, you'll know this from the Royal Air Force aerobatic team, the Red Arrows. The two inner jets are now going to barrel roll around the outskirts of the jets outside to them. They now then become the new outside jets, and the team will do this twice, so they're now in the correct positions. As the team now just get ready and reposition from the left hand side. Get ready, this is the rollbacks. So Saudi 2 and 3 roll. Saudi 4 and 5 now complete that particular manoeuvre. Saudi 7 for today's display is Otis. He's one of the older team members that we have in terms of experience on the arrows itself. Now get ready with the synchro pair as they perform the hearts. Notice there, Saudi 1 spearing the heart as well. Saudi 8 is one of our trainee pilots, whilst Saudi 9 is Tyler. Tyler is one of our newer pilots and he's undergoing extensive training as well to get up to scratch with the rest of the team. We also have Saudi 11, which is also taking part in the display. That's Bill, who's our photographer and fellow supervisor. Now Saudi 1 coming in from the left hand side. This is definitely one for the cameras. And hopefully you've enjoyed our display this afternoon, as we are slowly approaching the end of our display. If you haven't already, please go and follow the team on all of our Instagrams. We're on Facebook and Instagram. On some of our newer posts, you'll see the full display list with the pilots, the current pilots, updated as well. Now we're about to see 4 jets approaching each other once again with the smoke. Now they're just going to time it right at the datum at Crowd Centre as they get ready in the opposition loops. Hitting a height now of about 6,000 feet, getting very close as they finish that particular manoeuvre, getting as low as about 100 feet, which is as low as we can legally fly. And now the rest of the team are going to join up once again for one final time. We're now going to join up for the final break before our finale fly past. And quite fittingly, due to the aircraft and the history of the aircraft that the Saudi Hawks fly, we're naming this final one the Hawk Break. Now zoom in all the way on your cameras, you can just about see the nose lights of the jets. So ladies and gents, get those print screens ready. You've been watching for 2020 GTA Aerobatic Team. It's the LS Arrows. So in appreciation, we're now going to fly one final fly past with the green and white smoke. And if you've enjoyed what you've seen today, please give the team and the rest of the pilots a follow on social media. That will be much appreciated. And the white smoke trailing from Saudi 1 as he assembles the rest of the team on his wings for the final time. So 9 people in the stream, welcome, and hopefully you've enjoyed watching our display today. You'll be hearing Matt with our other coverage of the PDLS, the Patria de los Santos, another incredible display, and the pilots have been working extremely hard over the last couple of days and weeks to get this display where we want it, and we are now making a very stern comeback. But first, in from the left hand side, this is for the final time. So get those cameras ready. Let's hear it for Saudi Arabia. So there's one thing left for us to say, and that is a big thank you for those on the stream who are watching currently and will watch it later on. A big thank you. And those currently on the facilities of the beach, much appreciated. Indeed. And one last thing to say on behalf of the LSROs, a big thank you indeed for all the support that you offer the team. Although we haven't quite seen the full 9 ship or even the full 7 ship. We've been Saudi 10.
Wait, Matt, did they just get that glitch or just teleport on the phone?
I don't know. So that's Saudi 10 signing out.
Who's up next? I don't know. I need to know. Where's the videos?
Alright, Matt, is the next thing free to go, or are they...
Good evening, boys and girls. I apologise for delay. We have some problems with so we have some problems with the fucking cargo thing. Please bear with us, and then we've got to sort it. Thank you.
Pritch?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on with the LSLs? Are you just going to cut it off there, or...?
Well, LSL's finished, but it started with PDLS, and then Blue Stingrays.
Yeah, by the way, the Bumblebees are going to tag along with us for one flyby. I don't know if they're doing their display, but yeah, they'll be tagging along.
So, Pritch, the next display is the PDLS.
Yes.
Alright.
Pritch, could you ask if we could go before then? Because our Dutch pilot, it's now 10:15 for them, and they are going to, they're going to get to a point where they're not going to be able to move, and their synchro will not work, and our whole show will just go to poo. Because it's 10:15, and we're only a 5-minute display. We're not a massive display, so if you could ask the two to Los Angeles,
we try our best, boss.
Alright.
We'll complete all us now.
Yeah, alright, thanks. Because he ain't gonna be able to perform much longer. And it's not fair on him, because we've all sat here for ages waiting, so... Alright, thanks Rich.
Thanks, Al. Brothers, I apologise for delay. Really sorry.
Matt, have they left you by yourself?
Yeah, I'm sort of just here. Session's gone quite laggy though.
Oh yeah, so yeah, it's the PSL. I don't know if you was reading the chat, but I was saying because Sony announced that they're managing their downloads right now, and it's like really slowed down stability speed. So obviously they're hoping for.
Makes sense.
Look, I mean that was earlier on. I think they've all put it back now, but yeah, it became a bit of a nuisance. How long is Patuita to Los Santos? Because
off the top of my head, I think it's like 20 minutes or so at most.
20 minutes?
At most. It's probably shorter than that. Probably like even 10 minutes or something like that. I couldn't give an actual time because it's been so long since our last public show.
Oh, I think the last time you done was BBMF, because I remember I was there. So isn't it the Flying Legends Air show? I think it was the last time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, they are taking off. Oh, for goodness sake. Alright.
So, well, here we go. So if everything is going as it is in front of us, the PDLS is happening. So, yeah. So to anyone actually watching the stream, thank you very much for watching. It's been a long stream, I know. So the support and staying here has been much appreciated, and I am back, but not for long. I think you'll probably only hear me for this display and maybe like one more, and then you'll have James for the rest of the night. So without further ado, the Patuí de los Santos heading towards us, and this will be the first manoeuvre. You'll have to excuse the lag, it's quite laggy because of certain issues. But here we go with the blue, white and red of the French flag before pulling up into the vertical. The first manoeuvre of the display is Bastille. And Bastille is the French National Day of Independence. And this manoeuvre is executed perfectly as the leader calls the team into a twisted loop where it bends over the top. And now the formation will continue to bend the aircraft round in the Bastille formation. And now we're switched up to Plan de Perdon, and there shall be another loop now. See the aircraft coming up into the sky. And the Patuí de France started off as a team back in the 30s, and is probably the oldest running aerobatic display team in the world, although it was the Patuí de Col La France back then. And then throughout the years it alternated through its history of aircraft and names. For the 60s finally set it in place as the Patuí de France. So there we go through the second of the manoeuvres, the Plan du Départ. And now we'll be back into one of our favourites and very prominent manoeuvre of our display. And the aircraft are switching formation up now into one of the original manoeuvres of the display. And the blue, white and red coming on. This is the Dart. And pilots having to combat the lag through the servers. It's not ideal for the pilots, it's not ideal for filming because it doesn't make the footage look very smooth, but we try our best to deal with the problems. The leader calling them over the top and then bringing them back down, keeping the smoke on. Our next manoeuvre is a infamous product from the Dassault Aviation Company. Dassault are famous for making the Falcon business jet and also their military line of products, of which this is one of them. This is the French alternative to the Eurofighter Typhoon, very similar in design in many aspects. It also betters the Typhoon in other aspects. And with a name quite literally translating to a heavy gust of wind, the next manoeuvre is reminiscent of that of the Dassault Rafale, and the leader calling them up into the vertical with the smoke on, and then he'll roll them round to the left towards the crowd. That's your best chance to see them all at the top. So that formation will now exit off to the left hand side of the showground, and then they'll reverse. Well, actually no, they'll carry on turning to the right by the looks of things. Although I think the lag has caused some issues with the pilots, unfortunately, and it's thrown off a bit of focus there. So unfortunately, it looks like the lag has made us lose one of our pilots. Yeah, it looks like we've had some implications with the technical aspect of things. But I think we're going to carry on anyway and see what we can do. By the looks of things, we'll be able to get one of the other pilots in to... yeah, there we go. So it looks like we'll have the aircraft all together. So it must have been a case of one of them collided with another one and we lost two. But now they're rejoining formation again. And the aircraft will now form the sixth ship that you've seen throughout the first two manoeuvres. And unfortunately, obviously, we lost two throughout the Rafale rolls. So we're all back to six again, and the next manoeuvre is one to definitely get your cameras up and ready for. It's going to be a manoeuvre where the aircraft switch the formation halfway through the loop, So unfortunately, I think the lag has caused some more problems yet again.
James?
Yes.
We're just getting teleported. We can't even take off without getting teleported back to the beach.
It's this lag, honestly, it's just...
I think it's not the business battle, isn't it? We're getting literally just we're disappearing and then black screening disappearing on the beach without really coming.
That's not really...
No, so we're going to regroup, try and foul roll with them. Maybe a bit further out to sea.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So rather unfortunate, we have had to almost push back the display somewhat because of the ongoing business battle, so it's caused a couple of problems for the team. By the sounds of things, however, it looks like we have actually finished this business battle now, so we can get the team all regrouped and together, and we can carry on from where we left off. So you remember we got up to the Rafale roll, so a continuation of that now will be the formation switch into quite a default formation for the team. It's one that you'll see the team reference to quite a lot throughout the whole display. And there they are, all 6 jets, well, now back up all in formation. And finally we've managed to solve the problem of the business battle, so we can continue the display. And I can only assume that we are going for a second attempt at the Rafale roll. So ladies and gentlemen, for the second time during the display, the blue, white and red performing the roll to represent the Dassault Rafale. Usually with an 8-ship, that manoeuvre would have even more structure to it, but obviously with the lack of availability we've had to settle for 6 pilots, but no worries, we do plan for these eventualities. And the leader will now call the team round into a left bend and bring them onto the show line. Now you can see the jets have reformed into a new shape. And we call this one a scavenger. Athos 1 will then call the team into the smoke on and pulling up. And as the aircraft go over the top of the loop, you can see there the team holding the formation very well and extending the loop to make sure that the formation stays tight. And as they come down, they will purposely spread the formation out. And in doing so, they'll be setting themselves up for the second half of this manoeuvre, where the smoke will now be switched off, and Athos 1 will call roll now. And then the formation is then squeezed back up all together, and it's back up into the vertical. And number 2 now squeezes himself right back behind number 1. You see the aircraft now twisting the formation back around away from the crowd and going to set up to the off-centre to the right, and then bring it back round to centre for the next manoeuvre. And the next manoeuvre is reminiscent of the latest RAF heavy transport aircraft built by Airbus, the Air Defence and Space Company, which is based in Madrid. And another historic landmark from the Airbus company is the fact that one of these aircraft was delivered to the Belgian Air Force today under the name of CT-01. So for any Belgian viewers, you're all probably quite familiar with the next manoeuvre, or what the next aircraft will be. So now all aircraft coming towards us. An aircraft that's recently gained its certification for, well, it looks like they're actually going around in a circuit whilst the number one either repairs the aircraft or sorts some problem out. This aircraft recently gained its certification for heavy transport and tactical drop-off of supplies and weapons systems to troops on the ground, and is currently in the process of replacing the C-130 Hercules in service throughout the entire world, apart from the US, who are adamant that their C-130s will continue in service for as long as possible. So Athos 1 has sorted out the problem with his aircraft and is taking off now to rejoin with the formation of aircraft. Unfortunately for the team, this has been quite an action-filled display, but for some of the wrong reasons and for some of the right reasons. Unfortunately, the wrong reasons haven't been our fault, and it's like you heard my counterpart say during the LSR's display. There's one thing we can't control, or two things rather we can't control. One's the weather, and the second one is technical problems, and unfortunately today's show has been plagued with technical difficulties, of which there is well, no blame but Sony and Rockstar. But without further ado, we'll be seeing the manoeuvre now, reminiscent of the A400M Atlas, and the manoeuvre to celebrate such an aircraft is the Atlas break. And with 4 aircraft on either side, that one is even more impressive, so keep your eyes open for any other manoeuvres that look like that one in future when we get all 8 aircraft together. The next one is where the leaders will now bring the 2 sets of formations around and put the aircraft into line astern. This one's a very photogenic opportunity, definitely worth getting some shots of this one. And the leaders of the respective sides will now call the smoke on. And exactly crowd centre. Well, unfortunately not this time around, but they will. So that was the La Ligne, but unfortunately we didn't get the crossover at the centre, but now we're going to see the first 3 jets, which are called Rebo, and the 4 rear jets, well, when there are 4 jets, there would be the Synchro 4, because they usually perform synchronised manoeuvres together. But unfortunately we've only got 3, but they'll all still be performing synchronised manoeuvres. So now coming towards us, we have two of the jets. And the smoke comes on, and unfortunately we haven't got the 4 jets available, so this is the Rebo brake. Or it should be the Rebo brake anyway. Yeah, here we go. As coming towards the crowd centre now. Wasn't too sure about the fly past there. It was unscheduled. But coming towards us now, the bind they have actually gone away. So here you see the 4 aircraft rolling there, and this will be the synchro brake. Rather interesting. So I'm rather unsure as to what's actually happening, but by the sounds of things it's basically just turned into a war zone, so I don't know what really to say, but yeah, it's just a bunch of people shooting. But next manoeuvre, this is Le Papillon, or the butterfly. Oh dear. All this, and it's turned to a war zone. Oh dear.
Pissing around. Oh, bloody degenerate. How hard is it to stand? Well, even just to sit there and watch it, how hard is that?
Personally, lads, I don't really think there's much point going on. It's just a bunch of people shooting each other.
Is it that JSOC security?
I have no idea who's shooting what at this point. Like, I'm here.
Hello.
and trying to make things work.
Yeah, man.
I think we should carry on. My mate's in the BB mission.
How's it looking?
Oh no, it's looking really good from my perspective, but the problem is now, because everyone's shooting and I've lost focus as to what point we're supposed to be on now. Ah, god damn it.
Right, it's figure of 8.
Alright.
Yeah, we're just going to use it as a...
Right,
Yeah,
George Din's Richard over pier side.
Use it as just a training session.
Might as well.
Turn it on. Figure of 8, Matt, yeah?
Yep. I got you right, I'll go in back in game chat. So the next manoeuvre, the aircraft will be setting up at crowd centre, and whilst everyone's shooting each other and not paying attention, the team is still trying to put on a show for you, so if you'd at least be grateful enough to watch it instead of shooting each other, that would be fantastic. So the synchro pair now going in for the figure du 8. And whilst the PDLS putting on a fantastic show, no one's actually watching it because they're all too busy shooting each other, being morons and whatnot. So yeah, you carry on doing whatever you've got to do. Oh dear. The next manoeuvre will come from behind and to the left, with 4 jets in line astern, trailing the blue, white and red smoke. And halfway through they will fling the middle 2 aircraft to the outsides, like so, in the derrière la Dumont. And that was actually very, very well executed there. Just a shame there was nobody watching it. Because, oh, let's shoot each other! And set up at the left hand side, so you'll see the 2 jets of the synchro pair going round, and they'll be on the show left. I personally don't see the show going on much further than this display at this point. Like once this display is finished, I'd call the show finished. It's a bloody waste of time at this point now. So here we can see from the left hand side the blue coloured smoke staying a level flight, and the other one rolling around that smoke in the roulement lent. Now the aircraft performing a slow roll. Pardon me. It's not like anyone's going to hear it because no one's paying attention. And now we can see the 4 main jets of Rebo pulling up into the vertical. And then twisting the loop at the top there. And as they do so, they're going to fan the formation out in Alize. Pulling up into the vertical there and switching the smoke systems off. So from the left and right hand side of the show line, you're going to see the 2 jets of the synchro pair with the smoke on. One the wrong way up and the other one the right way up, and as soon as they cross over at the centre they're going to switch the rolls like so. And a very close execution there. Now, so the 2 jets again from the synchro pair at either side, they're going to cross over at the centre and pull up into the vertical to perform individual loops in the Matrice Celeste. And they're going to basically stop pulling back on the stick halfway up and go straight up into the vertical. After that, we're going to do almost like a throwback to what the team originally flew on when the Patrouille de France started out as the Patrouille de France in the jet age, using the Aerofuga or POTES or Aerospatiale project of the Magistère, and you'll see almost our little tribute to the team's aircraft. Next, and you see the 4 jets of the Revo formation in line astern, and they're now going to pull up into the vertical. Athos 1 will call them up. And there you can see them staggering the loop almost, and it's keeping them all in the line astern. Of course, it's harder for the ones on the outside of this formation because it means they have to wait even longer, and we've had a collision in midair, unfortunately, and then the 2 jets will fan it out at the bottom. I'm going to go party chat.
No, we have one.
Keep going round.
We have that crash that George mentioned.
I didn't hear it.
Is this even an air show anymore?
It is for us.
It is. It's a training session for us.
It's good training.
To be fair, it's basically just a free. It's just a free pass, isn't it? Really, but like everyone else, honestly, if you watch the video back, if you ever get the chance to, you'll literally hear me saying people aren't being considerate, and then you'll just hear me burp really loudly halfway through because it's like no one's even going to watch it anyway. So what's the point?
If I must be honest, it's probably the best display I think we've ever done, apart from the carnage.
Actually, to be fair, looking at it from this ground perspective, it's looked really clean so far. The loops and the formations in the loops were really tight all the way through.
Like Ryan said, the display is good, but the game is...
And it's yeah, it's like, but when you even called it out into the into like the wide formation, like up until that point where you called it out to the wide formation, it was really tight formation. So that was really impressive. And I think I got quite lucky with timing because at one point I literally said Athos 1's going to call the smoke on it, and literally at that point you put the smoke on.
I can't even call off a helicopter in the sea because it's actually not sea.
So, Matt, who's actually kicking it?
You're on smoke.
Well, what's happening is I was here when it first happened, and you know the B-11s that randomly came in halfway through the display.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they flew right over the party bus where I was talking about the display, and then they came back around for yet another fly pass, and someone's just done a gun run off the beach, and then like someone on the beach, I think it was Owen, he started shooting homing missiles at these B-11s to tell him basically to sod off, and then well, one of the JSOC members started shooting at Owen, so Pritch basically turned around and started shooting at the JSOC members, and then Ed started shooting at the JSOC members because they killed Pritch, and it literally started chaos from there. It's all on the stream, like, honestly, if you want to go back and look at it on the stream, it's all there for you to watch.
We did see the B-11s at fine.
But honestly, I have no idea, but if you watch it back from the start, honestly, you'll have the world's biggest laugh. Because it just starts from a fly past and Owen trying to tell them to clear off, and then like just war breaks, and now no one's paying attention. But in reality, because no one's watching, we've had probably the best training session that should have been an air show in the world.
Are you like back in the air yet?
No, me and Ginger over the airport.
Mind you, mind you, it has been a bit odd because all I've had throughout the whole display, it hasn't been people talking like I'll say, no, that's fantastic. It's just been a bunch of people like firing guns off, and all I can hear in the background is gunfire. Instead of people saying, oh, that's really cool.
So, oh my god, there's 2 jets flying.
Yeah, I got locked.
Is it the back of the airport? Wheels down, Ginger.
Can't put smoke on.
Can I register to see you? No, I can't.
George, you in the air or on the ground?
On the ground, I can't register to see you. I need to get a positive because there's too many zeros.
Let's see that now.
It's hunting time, didn't it? Wasn't that someone when the whole Didios was a thing?
Oh, I don't know.
Because they're just like, I know that thing.
Owen was obliterated by the orbital cannon. Get ready, guys.
Owen was what?
Owen was obliterated by the orbital cannon.
What the fuck is an orbital cannon?
It's a
Thing you
cannon that plays a
Really?
How have you played it? You're fucking retarded.
I don't pay any attention to it. We're missing a jet.
You don't pay attention to anything, do you?
To be fair, like seeing us, it's not like it's going to make much of a difference to the people watching because they're all too busy focused and shooting the next person. I'm surprised I haven't had a bullet in my head at some point.
You take George's place, so you're getting back all there. We'll just not do that.
I'm not gonna lie, Matt, but it's quite funny just being up here and seeing all them fucking people dying. I'm gonna go get the jet.
Is it? Right. So we're going in this time. So Richard, 45 to the right.
Yep.
It's just so funny because I've been sat here and all I could hear is gunfire.
Ginge, what we'll do, you lead it in, pal. I'll set you up. Me and you will swap places, and then you go straight up when you're ready.
Go on, Ginge.
I'll pull the brakes. You all break it at the same time.
But yeah, it's fabulous.
Okay, yeah, you're right. So, Ginge, we're going to swap places.
Go on, Ginge. You can do it.
Aim for maze function, right?
Yeah, maze function. Keep the altitude.
No
just
smoke.
keep it high. Yeah, smoke will be on, Ginge. Everyone smoke. Right, we ready?
Yep.
Wheels up. Smoke on. So straight up in the air, Ginge. Richard, 45 to the right.
Yep. You have to let us know what this looks like, Matt.
Athos. Break, go.
So ladies and gentlemen, the drapeau français. There we go. That looked fantastic. I couldn't even do proper comms as well because like everyone's shooting was just so distracting. It was so annoying because I couldn't even.
Yo. No, it's just making just people went off, didn't it?
Do you know what happened?
Well, kind of, yeah. I mean, Matt filled us in a little bit, but it just fucking the B11's kind of.
Completely ignored the message. They come out with a flight pass, so I thought, fuck this. So I got me out, jump started to fire the rockets at them. So one of them killed me, and then they all started killing the rest of us then.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I've got it all on the stream anyway, so.
Turned into the apocalypse, but.
It is the apocalypse.
Yeah, I mean, it was going well up to the point we started getting teleported, and then obviously it all kicked off.
So my it's meant to be a security feature.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna look at what it all away instead.
Someone just kept Brian.
Away from all the religions.
It's in goats, man.
Yeah.
That might be the best one.
Yeah, maybe.
Because it's ridiculous and then this teleport shit.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I just wanted to ring you to let you know what the fuck's going on.
No worries.
If you wanna kill me, that's not pal.
Yeah. I think Ryan was getting beat out, but he just died. So I don't know what's going on.
Someone killed me in Ghost. Tell the scouts bastard shut up. Oh, Steve, tell the scouts bastard shut up.
Right, Ryan says he's going to run you around the map.
Yeah, tell him I'm going after
Me, scouts, fuck.
Alright. Anyway. Until tomorrow.
Everyone's mental state is so high.
The circus continues tomorrow. Anyone who's been watching the stream, it's been somewhat of an honour, but well, clearly not at the moment. It's just turned into World War III. This is what Iran and America would have been like. Anyway, see us all whenever I put another stream up.
Everyone's mental